It's a totally Boss 80s weekend with Chewy on the world famous
Boss Radio, Los Angeles.
Head over heels and playing another hour of totally Boss favorites. It is I, Chewy, on the world famous Boss. It's all 80s all weekend long here on Boss Radio. Originally written and composed by George Merrill and Shannon Rubicam. You might know them better as Boy Meets Girl. Originally intended for Janet Jackson, who passed, handing Whitney Houston her second number one hit. How will I know? Well, it is a totally Boss 80s weekend here on The Boss.
Totally Boss 80s, right here on The Boss.
Pat Benatar on Boss Radio. Simple Minds, Expose, Genesis, all part of 20 minutes of continuous nonstop music on a totally Boss 80s weekend here on The Boss. With their fifth single from their debut album, Exposure, here's number one music from Expose. Seasons Change, here on The Boss.
It's a totally Boss 80s weekend. Totally Boss. On The Boss.
Material world.
Great tunes, great times, great radio. We are the world famous Boss. Boss Radio and the Violent Femmes as we're celebrating all weekend long with nothing but Boss 80s. Hi there, it's Chewy. And it is Memorial Day, and as I was preparing for this show, I came across a new survey sponsored by USAA Insurance that found that less than half of U.S. adults understand the true meaning of this holiday. Now, the survey polled 2,079 adults ages 18 to 34. Of those polled, 46% responded that the primary reason for observing Memorial Day is to honor military service members who lost their lives in military conflict. Let me highlight that for you again. It is to honor military service members who lost their lives in military conflict. Nearly half of those respondents, 45%, believe that it is appropriate to observe Memorial Day by wishing a veteran a happy Memorial Day and or thank them for their service. Now it's time for me to get on my soapbox again. I apologize. No, I don't. Now, originally, it was known as Decoration Day. Memorial Day started in the years following the Civil War, and it became an official federal holiday in 1971 for us to reflect on those who lost their lives in war. Veterans Day is completely different. Memorial Day, we remember the dead. Veterans Day, we acknowledge those who served. So while you're catching some rays on the beach and scarfing down those savory grilled meats, remember, for those who lost a loved one in armed conflict, this is not a happy day. It is a day of gratitude and reflection for those who died. You want to thank a vet? That's what the other 364 days of the year are for. Now, to you Gold Star families out there, I'm saddened by your loss, but deeply grateful for the bravery of your loved one. They were a true hero and a credit to you. May they never be forgotten. Have a reflective Memorial Day weekend.
First floor, 1970s.
It's a totally Boss 80s weekend with Chewy on the world famous
Boss Radio, Los Angeles.
Boss Radio and another hour of totally Boss 80s favorites. This one's for Joey in Carmichael, California. Joey, don't say I never do anything for you, bud. Here's Culture Club with Karma Chameleon on The Boss. Boss Radio, along with your buddy Chewy, formerly called the Chicago Transit Authority. They made the wise marketing decision to shorten it to just Chicago. Here they are on The Boss.
It's a totally Boss 80s weekend. All weekend long, right here on The Boss.
Moody Blues on Boss Radio as we're celebrating all weekend long nothing but Boss 80s. And to prove my point, I got Kaja Goo Goo on the way, Big Country, and we're going to be banging that drum next on The Boss.
All 80s, all weekend long. It's a totally Boss 80s weekend on The Boss.
We are Boss Radio, playing nothing but 80s. It's a totally Boss 80s weekend on The Boss.
Escapade, baby.
The youngest of the Jackson clan, Janet, with Escapade on Boss Radio. Now, the headline from the story reads, Tofu wine made from wastewater launches in restaurants and online. Now, being the type of curious person I am, I just had to click on it. And trust me, I was prepared for the worst. You ready? Here we go. A startup based in Singapore has developed the world's first soy-based wine using wastewater, wait for it, from a tofu factory located near its distillery. You see, you were thinking something nasty. Get your mind out of the sewer. The main ingredient of the Sofu Tech Sachi wine is soy whey. It's a byproduct generated from the manufacture of tofu. Now, using recycled water to make stuff isn't anything new for Singapore. See, back around 2003, they created a beer called New Brew, which uses recycled sewage water. It's exactly what you think. But I bet it still tastes better than that Beverly Italian soda you can find at Epcot Center.
Ew.
Yeah, I agree, buddy.
It's a totally Boss 80s weekend with Chewy on the world famous
Boss Radio, Los Angeles.
We are Boss Radio, and another hour of totally Boss 80s favorites. And a song that was influenced by a story that Jackson read about a young man who tried to escape poverty by attending private school. He was eventually killed upon returning home. Here's Bad on The Boss. This is Boss Radio, heard everywhere on the iHeartRadio app and worldwide at bossbossradio.com.
It's a totally Boss 80s weekend right here on The Boss.
It is Boss Radio, #1 and certified gold for this band out of LA. Here are the Bengals on The Boss. Nothing but 80s all weekend long. This is a totally Boss 80s weekend on Boss Radio. And to prove it, I got Whitney and Paula next on The Boss. We are Boss Radio. You might remember this song. It was the love theme for the Days of Our Lives super couple Bo Bradley and Hope Williams. Here's Peebo Bryson and Roberta Flack.
This is a totally Boss 80s weekend on The Boss.
Great tunes, great times, great radio. We are the world famous Boss. ABC with the Look of Love on Boss Radio. Hi, it's me, Chewy. How you doing? I was just checking out the National Day calendar, find out what's going on. Probably heard about most of these things on Rich Chappelle. Today is National Paper Airplane Day. Now, you see, it honors the simple aeronautical toy that's been around for thousands of years and rumored to have been actually created by the Chinese. Not the holiday, the actual paper airplane. It's also National Blueberry Cheesecake Day. And finally, National Family Fun Day. This national day is encouraging families to celebrate everywhere to create some family fun during the long weekend and every day. So go outside, make some paper airplanes, have some blueberry cheesecake, and have some fun with your family. Just make sure you bring the boss with you.
It's a totally Boss 80s weekend with Chewy on the world famous
Boss Radio, Los Angeles.
Boss Radio and another hour of totally Boss 80s favorites.
You can dance.
Oh, no. It wasn't video. Corporate radio killed the radio star. I digress. Boss Radio, your buddy Chewy. The Intruders did this back in 67, but Tierra, 1980, they made it their own. Here's Together on The Boss.
This is a totally Boss 80s weekend on The Boss.
Happy belated birthday to Bob Ziegler. Celebrated his 79th birthday on May 6th. You're listening to a totally Boss 80s weekend here on Boss Radio. Huey Lewis in the morning newspapers along with the Cars and Glenn Fry next on The Boss.
Totally Boss 80s right here on The Boss.
Great tunes, great times, great radio. We are the world famous Boss.
The greatest Boss hits of all time.
Boss Radio.
Former lead singer of Genesis and making a big time on his own, Peter Gabriel on Boss Radio. My name is Chewy, and I am out of here. I'll talk to you again next weekend. Up next, David Lovejoy, and he's going to continue bringing you your totally Boss 80s weekend. But until I talk to you next time, I leave you with this. Have you ever imagined a world with no hypothetical situations? Okay, then, bye-bye now.